Today, a ruling came down from the Advertising Standards Authority, or ASA, on the case of Hello Games misleading consumers through the No Man's Sky Steam page. The regulatory body concluded the ad did not breach advertising codes. So what does that mean?
Well, it basically means the screenshots, trailers, description, and other videos on the Steam store page can remain there. There's no issue there, it doesn't violate any codes. This also applies to the PlayStation Store, although the ASA looked at Steam only.
Yes, according to the ASA report, they received 23 complaints from people who believe No Man's Sky was not as depicted or described. Some of the complaints revolved around screenshots and videos that showed advanced animal, ship flying, large-scale combat behavior that was believed not to be in the final launch version of the game. There was also complaints saying Hello Games misrepresented the graphics of the game.
So what you're saying is they got paid off. Hello Games, in their defense, stressed that No Man's Sky was a procedurally generated game, meaning the player experience would vary from playthrough to playthrough. The ASA's ruling was based upon this primary claim.
The assessment made by the ASA reads, and I quote, "The summary description of the game made clear that it is procedurally generated and the game universe was essentially infinite and was the core premise of exploration."
So it's infinite, so anything goes. They could just put up a picture of a clown. There you
Sure.
go, it's in there. It continued with, quote, "As such, we considered consumers would understand the images and videos to be representative of the type of content they would encounter during gameplay, but would not generally expect to see those specific creatures, landscapes, battles, and structures."
Yeah, if you're still confused on this ruling,
I am.
actually, Eurogamer has a great breakdown of the complaints, and we'll include a link in the description. And we'll also include a link to the actual ASA ruling in the description. But let's go over briefly some of these complaints.
Great.
You want to take the first one?
Yeah. So complaint 1. Some of the structures and buildings seen in screenshots and videos, could those be found in the actual game? Hello Games provided the ASA with footage that was similar to the structures and buildings seen in the screenshots and videos. Also, water. Apparently, there was a complaint about that.
There was.
Just someone said water.
There was like a complaint about some of the water seen in some of the videos or something like
Right,
that.
it
So they
looked
had
better
to,
than
yeah,
the
they had to
current
back
water.
that up.
Yeah. So the ASA ruled is consistent with what was shown in the ad. So they were like, yeah, that water looks like the water we got.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
What about the gameplay footage? A few complaints said was misleading.
That's what Daryl thinks.
Yeah, that's where Hello Game used the procedurally generated defense, saying, and I quote, "It would be difficult to recreate the exact scenes from the ad. It is fairly straightforward to locate content of the type shown in the ad and to demonstrate that such content was commonly experienced by all users who played No Man's Sky for an average period of time."
And how about those crazy large spaceship battles? Was that part of the actual gameplay? On that matter, Hello Games admitted these types of battles were, quote, "more than unusual," interesting, but once again provided footage of the similar type of battle, and the ASA said the assets were not likely to mislead anyone, although all marketing is to mislead people, so.
Yeah, I'll mention it after this, but I'll keep going with this other one. What about those in-game graphics? Did they match up to the ad? Since the game's release in August, people have mentioned the quality of the in-game graphics. Well, obviously the ASA ruled in their favor of Hello Games because we said that they were not guilty. And here's their quote. From the game and the footage provided by Hello Games, including material from third parties,
We it's like Sony, right? Stuff that Sony made?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
We understood that the game was capable of producing graphics of much higher quality than that shown in the videos and of comparable quality with the screenshots, and considered that the images used therefore did not exaggerate the game's performance in this regard.
And finally, what about that text that said, quote, "fly smoothly from deep space to planetary surfaces with no loading screens and no limits"? Complaints questioned if the warp sequence shown when traveling between systems was a loading screen, and the ASA said, "We understood that during the warp sequence, the new system would be generated, and that, in this sense, it might be thought of as a loading screen." But they continued with, "However, it did not represent an interruption to the gameplay experience, as it was contiguous and consistent with the preceding and following gameplay sequences."
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
There's no question that Hello Games is pleased with this result, but the saga may not be over. One of the complainants, Azure UK, was...
Where's he from?
I'm assuming the UK.
Okay.
He was disappointed in the ruling while speaking with Eurogamer.
Apparently, he's going to send a letter of complaint to Sir Hayden Phillips, who acts as the independent reviewer of ASA adjudications, fancy word of the day. Also, he was knighted by the Queen. Good for you. And we'll keep you guys updated for any further results.
Yeah, I just want to mention one thing that I do find really odd is that, can we see the footage that Hello
Yes.
Games and Sean Murray and them provided to the ASA
Absolutely.
to be like, make these points, be like, oh, here it is.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Is that locked up, and was that part of the stipulation
It's
where they
in a
can't show it?
lockbox. Yeah,
Okay.
it's probably untied up. But Shibby,
All right.
he wrote down stuff
All right,
today.
I have stuff to say.
Okay.
So
Fire.
one, scripted bullshit. That's what the complaints are. They're then getting themselves out of this bullshit by making more scripted bullshit, which I find very interesting.
Okay.
And that the store page, just the Steam page, was not representative, but everything that Sean Murray, back on the screen over there, that lying piece of shit, can do on Stephen Colbert, a nationally televised event.
Oh.
That's a joke. Also, another complaint. There's too many systems in this goddamn game, and there's so many moving parts that for every time they'd make one of their videos for E3 or whatever, all those systems and moving parts were working too perfectly together, and that never ever happens in the game. So I feel like that's very misleading because it's just the systems, the plants, they're interacting with the water and like they're moving through, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, okay, so I agree with you, absolutely, but I'm just playing devil's advocate here, where stage demos are a thing that happen all the time. Remember the infamous Bioshock Infinite one?
Sure.
Like, that's what happens in order to show off the most highlighted version of the game. So that is the best version of No Man's Sky you can get, but what they're saying is, since all those components were in the game and could potentially happen, that is why it is not false. Again, they didn't take into account all the things he said in his interviews and all the multiplayer stuff. Like, that is where they are fraudulent, in my opinion. But in this specific case, where they're looking at those specific
only
facts,
specific things.
Yeah.
And then I guess my final thought, just to wrap this up, is like an example, I kind of like analogy here, is say I open a theme park, Shibby's awesome theme park, and I have
Great.
crazy roller coasters and an awesome lion den.
2%
where you can
death
go,
rate.
Where you can go and watch lions, you can get 5% off promo code Shibby. But then in actuality, it's shitty bumper cars and a fucking goat. Like, sure, it's not what I promised, but it's similar enough. And I feel like the ASA, they're spineless and they're not making gaming great again.
I can definitely help Sir Hayden here just by going into
okay.
court and showing him one thing. I know misleading, okay? Take my fucking Tinder page, okay? On the first picture is me fucking cutting a sushi roll. Second picture is me eating at Providence. Third picture, me hanging out with the dude from Ancient Aliens, right? One, I don't know how to cook, that was from a class. Two, Providence, my boss was paying for that night. Three, I met the guy at the fucking Comic-Con. That's it. All right? So all those things, misleading as shit, okay? That is absolutely misleading, and that is exactly what they did.
but that's advertising, and that's the shitty thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
but
advertising.
any girl who's like, dude, come on, you're not rich, cool, or
Right.
can cook. So that is misleading.
I'm just saying
Period.
the average girl knows that is misleading, and we as consumers should know that most advertising
That's
is
not fair.
misleading.
You're
That's not
pulling
fair.
in
I
a lot
wouldn't
of
blame
girls
the
from
girl.
Tinder, though.
You really want to blame the victim?
No, I'm not blaming the victim. I'm just saying that, like, that what the ASA looked at. God damn it, Daryl. What the ASA looked at is they couldn't find the charges. It's like when you know something's incomplete, you know a pass is incomplete in the NFL, and they review it, but there's not definitive evidence that it was incomplete. Even though everybody knows it is, there wasn't definitive evidence.
Sure.
So,
Really
bummer,
none of
they
them
can't
stands.
overturn it because there wasn't.
Yep, like those plays with the Bears and the Lions, that Calvin Johnson catch in the end zone.
Yeah.
Don't speak of him.
Anyways, let us know what you guys think about this ruling in the comments below or on Twitter.
And watch our other videos where I talk about the story of Final Fantasy 15.
You do.
Like a prep for it.
You do a great job.
Oh,
you do
thank
a great
you.
job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Some people don't like it.
It's okay.
Spoilers. Some people were mad at spoilers. Anyways, and we also have another No Man's Sky update.
Yep.
So it's been a big week for No Man's Sky again after their whole years and years
Yeah.
of silence. It's about the Foundation updates where you can now build bases.
Ooh.
So there's even more stuff for them
Nice.
to mislead consumers about. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Any final words?
You know what? I'm not done here. I'm not gonna stop until Sean Murray's locked up.
Woo. Are you gonna trumpet and then decide not to
Yeah.
lock her up?
Daryl?
Dude, I would just love to see his Tinder page. He's probably has one of those like Anon masks on and like is just a total turd. That's it.
Okay. Cut.